How you doing? Ralfy here, Ralfy Customs. Time for a new little project and a bit of a recap. Look, let's have a look at what we've been up to. Nice Mr. Nigel's that you saw me do a top tube headstock front rails on. I'm not quite sure where you left it, but this week I have been mostly fitting a cross brace and the electric stroke battery box, making some fender struts for the rear fender, yeah, and there was a piece across here, a piece of flat across here that this bolted to that didn't do anything for the seat mounts. So we've had that out, we've put a new bit of tube in, we've made some bobbins to sit the seat on. We've fitted one of my handy dandy, I don't make them, I buy them in, but they're extra heavy duty seat mounts like that one there. And then we've extended back and copped this. Plus a few other bits and bobs. We were worried about this fitting, if you remember, and it fits. I had to file another flat on because the older's got two flats and the ignition only had one to stop it spinning, so we've done that. We have realised that this is never going to fucking work, so we're going to blank that off and we're going to use this quarter, put a fuel tap in there. We've made stainless inserts to replace the rubbers that we don't have for the rubber mantlers handlebars that we're not going to use, and fitted the risers and bars and a few other bits and bobs. We've taken the front mudguard off and fitted this brace as supplied, and the job is coming along very nicely. I didn't film me doing that because I've been away and I need to crack on, and it's a lot quicker just to crack on. Next up, we've had it on charge all night, hoping to start it up and warm it up because we're going to give it a service, which I made myself a nice little 22-point list that I run through for a service, and the first thing on the list is change engine oil and filter. Now, if we can start the engine up and run it, get the oil warm, it'll come out a lot easier than if we don't. If we can't, then we need to look at why, because I also need to get it up and running and do shit. But there you go. So the first things first is, I think it's got petrol in. I know it's got petrol in, because when I turned it on, it stood for a bit, and the petrol seals in these taps go a little bit stiff. They did on my Triumph, and then they weep a bit. I don't think the camera will pick that up, but it's definitely weeping petrol, or something that smells like it used to be petrol. We are fully charged, so we'll have the ignition on. We'll have the battery charger off for a start off. Look. Happy days. We'll have the ignition on. The lights automatically come on, headlight works, high and low, just as the doctor ordered. And he said the speedo's not working all the time. Now, I don't know a lot about these electronic speedos, and looking at the state of the wiring on the bike, anybody's guess. It could be anybody's guess as to what the problem is there. So anyway, that's bike on, that's choke on. There's a couple of squirts, and then we'll hit the button, see what happens. And no surprises there, we're not firing. So I will look to see if there's a spark, I will look to see if there is fuel going through, so we'll take the air filter off and go from there. Alright, first thing we found is that it's not squirting fuel out of its accelerator pump. So we put it on reserve, and now it is squirting fuel through its accelerator pump. So let's see. Come on, bugger. Couple more squirts. Oh, it wants it. Couple more squirts. There we go. So it's kind of fucking running. You see.
So, now that's warmed up, we can attempt to undo that Jubilee clip or hose clamp. It's a bit like calling them all hoovers. It's not a hoover. Look at that. Fucking hell, that is red fucking ruster. We might end up removing that and replacing that. But we can leave that draining anyway if we can get it off. And while it's warm again, it's a nice time to take the spark plugs out and put the new ones in. So I'll crack on and get that done. Well, I fucking stand corrected, because that is freer than a fucking Freebird. That is. Look at that, lovely Jubilee. Well, hopefully it'll tighten back up as well as it's undid. Yeah, a bit fiddly. I think I need to undo it as much as I can and get it over the bulgy bit of the stud that it goes on to bung it up. There's a built-in lug on this frame bracket there, exhaust bracket actually, that has a bulge on the end. Obviously that's what pipe fittings are like, that's how they fucking work. And I'm hoping against all odds that just comes off nice and happily. And I think, well, sorry, I'm filming this shockingly. I did think about setting, there we go, the tripod up to film this bit, but it's bollocks. It's just going to see me doing this from a distance, and you're not really going to see anything, are you? So if that will behave itself, we will leave that drain in. We will come round this side, and in order to assist, we'll have the bung out. There you go, nice and frothy, man, from where it's been running. We'll leave that there, breathing away. We'll get the plugs out on the other side of the job, and there you fucking go. Turn the fuel off, though it's nearly run out. Sorted. Alright, onto the plugs. It's important that you check the gap when you buy these. These were 35 thou, and Harley wants 38 to 42, so we got 40 thou. So we've opened them out slightly and then snugged them up so that you can just get 1 mil it is, and 40 thou worth of feeler gauge in there if this would fucking focus. So we've got a 0.2 mil and a 0.8 mil, or 32 and 8 makes 40. And also, it's worth noting that these new NGKs don't come with a fucking nipple on, with a screw-on nipple on to take the Harley plug caps. I think that's because NGK plug caps use they go straight on that electrode, straight on the thread there, so they don't tend to come with them. I've got a bag of them somewhere, but it's just as easy to give these a quick clean up on the rotary wire brush and then nip them off and swap them over. So that's what I'm going to do. Right, they seal up. Like, they're in it. What I forgot to say was, before you take the old plugs out, get your airline if you got one and blow around the old to blowing the shit out so it don't drop in there, like. Especially if the bike's less than pristine, which is the case with this one. I think we need a bigger fucking spanner. We do. We need a different fucking socket, look. I'll get the different socket. All I was going to say was wind them in until the crush washer touches the head, and then give them a bit of a tweak. I think the book says 1/4 of a turn, but I just feel it. They don't need to be bollocked up solid. You don't want to be stripping threads, and they won't blow out the hole as long as you touch that crush washer and then give it a good nip up, like.
Don't forget, folks, our Fuckstock stickers are now available in our Etsy store, link in the description below. Fuckstock, you know it makes sense.
I returned from waving this about like a madman and taking it outside for a minute. Top tip, obviously. I did open up my shutter door when I ran this up, but we're in a fucking tent for fuck's sake. So we did end up with a little more monoxide than this alarm is happy with. Shit'll kill you. Right, we left that draining long enough, and it's gone back on lovely. It's absolutely tightened up perfectly, and we have got some nice oily goodness to share with the group. The next job, which can be a right fucking pain in the arse, is this lovely oil filter. So I'll put my drip tray underneath, because you always make a mess, and then we'll look at getting a socket on there and getting that off. Well, up in the box as well, I ordered a service kit. I don't think it came with a chrome filter that's got a nut on the end. but I don't fucking know. It'll have the right filter, which is what's more important. Right, let's see if we're going to be fortunate enough that this has not been put on by fucking Garth. It is tight, but it is coming off. Happy days. So we'll spin that off quick. It shouldn't be too much mess if we're careful. And we'll leave that to drain as we do. In fact, I'm going to put that in somewhere else to drain because I don't want it dunking in fucking oil. And in the meantime, the old CO2 alarm's having a fucking spaz out, so we'll whack the fan on for a few minutes until that dissipates. This is a recent addition. It was a gift from my sister and brother-in-law when they cleared out their unit, and I've never had one before, and it just goes to show you, doesn't it? Hey, so if you're going to run engines in a fucking confined space, think about what you're doing. Right, let's get this filter on. So I'm not a fan of pre-filling filters. They make a fucking mess. And you're going to if you fill that with oil and then get it offered up there, the oil gasket's taken, then you're going to be in trouble, ain't you? It's all going to fucking piss out. So we don't do that. What we do is we wind it on with a bit of lube on the seal, and then it is very important to just fucking do it and tight. That is proper and tight. As tight as I can get it by hand, and I'm not fucking Garth, so that should stay. Once you've run it up, that'll fill full of oil, and you're going to be checking the oil level after you've topped it up and run it up anyway, so there's no dramas there at all. Right, just worthy of a mention is that these service packs often come with a fucking oil in a bag. Like, remember wine boxes? We get oil boxes now, and you push some inserts in to form an handle, and then you fuck about with the top nice and carefully. It's not rocket science. The thing that's going to get you is unscrewing this cap. You need to hold this rosetti knobbly bit with a pair of grips and then undo that, otherwise it just all spins. Yeah, and I can't grip it. Maybe if you did it before you popped it back in the box, Ralfy, then you'd be able to fucking grip it, but who knows. Maybe we can do that, look. I can just show you. There, look. There's oil in the bag, so I might be strong enough with two hands to hold that and undo that. If not, get your pipe grips on. And same oil in the engine as in the primary, and 4 litres is enough. They have a 3 litres in the engine from drained, which is what we've done. We've done an oil filter change, so that needs 3 litres. And I think the primary house just under a litre. Not sure. We'll find that out once I've moved my jack so that we can get to the drain and drained it. Quick top tip. There's no real fucking level on these. You see how on... Here we go. Look. On your normal plastic old school bottles, you have a level that shows you how much oil is in there, so you can gauge where you're at. You don't get that with the fucking oil in a bag, do you? So you can either pour it into a jug and add it a jug at a time, or what I like to do is get a litre container. This is just an old fork oil one. I always keep a few of these around, and just overfill it slightly. Just put just more than a litre in it, so you know that you've got 4 litres or slightly less, and you can dump the whole lot in the oil bag without having to fucking worry about it. Like. Righto, so now we're running it up. Again, top tip, set the plug leads off, turn it over a good few times before you fire it up after you put the oil in, just to get a bit of oil round, like. Check for leaks. Turn that fucking shit off. Now check for leaks. I mean, we've only moved that, so what's that like? Drier than a baker's fart. And we've only undone that, and what's that like? Same. There's no fresh oil. Sorry, I'm not showing you very well. No fresh oil there, like, so we can now come round and fucking dip it. So get the old dipstick, shove that in. We want to be near the top and not near the bottom. And we are near the bottom, so we'll put another little bit in until it takes it to the top, and then that's the oil change, filter change, plug change. I didn't film it, but it did fucking fire straight up, even though I'd put the fuel on and not on reserve like a dick. So yeah, new plug's fucking up that no end. Right, next up's the primary oil. So
as discussed, you get enough in a 4 litre bottle to do it. We're under this 5/8 knot, drain all the oil out. And you can either put in 32 fluid ounces, which is where we're at. Don't show very well on camera. Or the old school way of doing it is to take this derby cover off and just fill it up until it just wants to leak out when the bike's at level. So we'll do it. We'll fill it via this chain inspection port, and at the same time we'll check the chain tension, and if it's too loose, the tension is under here, look. So you crack that knot off, wind that in, and it rubs the tensioner against the chain, and then tighten that long knot up to keep it where it needs to be. So we'll do that, probably off camera, because you've seen enough of oils and fucking shit so far. Righto, so we did the cover off, topped it up, drained it, checked these were fucking solid. I had to get the fucking impact driver. The old school fucking hit it with an hammer impact on there to get those screws out. They were shockingly tight. But the primary chain adjustment is absolutely pucker, well within tolerances. And the oil is up to the line where it should be. Everything's tight, nothing's leaking, although I will double check that drain because they are notorious for weeping. What else have I done then? So off camera, we've gone around with the spray grease. Where I've put it, I don't fucking know. Oh, here it is over here. And we have done the foot pegs, the rose joints, the side stand. I am just pumping grease into the headstock with the fucking grease gun. And you don't need to pump it until it fucking squirts out. It's just give it a good half a dozen pumps and then everything will be fucking sweet. So if I can get that off there like fucking so, wipe the grease off because we don't need to leave it gunky. It will attract dirt and dust, and that in turn can accelerate wear. Then we go around and we check the brake pads and the discs, and they feel fucking fine. There's no real step in the discs. I could mic them up and get the width, but there's no steps, so they're not particularly worn. The pads are, that front one's thinking about being worn, but it's not too bad. The other side's bang on, and the rears are fucking happy days. The rears are well within tolerances, both sides. Like, there's fucking plenty of meat there. That one's wearing a little bit, that one's got a bit more on it. Everything's sweet, everything's good with that. So that's another job ticked off the list. Right, we also go around and check any obvious pivots and give them a good spray with the old grease. So like I say, we've done the headstock, we've done the pivots, we've done the gear change pivots. Everything's cool. We would do these foot pegs, but they're fucking solid as a rock, so they don't need to go. They now work. Whereas that one was pretty tight. We do the same with the hand controls. We check the pin, the quality of the pin, make sure it's got its retainer on and it's not worn out, and we lubricate it up. Same with the clutch. We do that. And where are we at next? Let's have a look then. So we've got check engine oil and filter, check, inspect oil lines and brake system for leaks, done. Check tyre pressures and inspect, no, we're not doing that. We have done the transmission, we've checked the clutch adjustment, we've done the chain, we've checked the rear belt pulley. Now there is signs of a little bit of damage on this pulley. It's not the newest pulley in the world, but it's not worn out. From what I can tell, it's just got a couple of little kisses on it, and the belt is maybe a little bit slack, but once it's on its wheels it'll tighten up that little bit and be absolutely fine. So that's well within tolerances. We've inspected the fuel line, the petcock. Like I said, we're weeping slightly upon opening, so I'll put that down as an advisory, like I have done with the front brake pads. It's just starting to show a little bit of wear, but they're still well within. The same with this fuel valve. Keep an eye on the petcock. I reckon with a bit of regular use, just like my Triumph, that will swell out and everything will be fucking sweet. That's fine. Suck it and see, that is. That's part of the course when they've been stood a few months. I can't. This is one that's going to be a bit of a bastard. Check brake fluid levels and condition. Now, the front's not an issue. I can do that. We'll have a look at it, and if it's milky, we'll be changing it. If everything's all right, we won't. The rear one,
someone in their infinite wisdom has fitted this exhaust, and it is absolutely resting on this top cover. So I can't even see if there's a bolt in there, and if there is a bolt in there, you're not getting it out. So you think, oh, that's all right, I'll undo these mounts and just pull it out a little bit so I can get to it. No, you won't, because it's got an hard line on it that's clamped there. You could take that out, give you a bit of wiggle room, but it's not going to miss the exhaust as you're trying to pull it out, and it's not going to move from that end because it's tethered. There's a very, very short flexi there, and then it's tethered the other side. So that's crack the exhaust loose, undo that mount and fucking lift it up out of the way. Job that is to check for that. And while we're lubing up, we give everything in here a nice fucking spray. That's not ideal, being exposed, but it should be okay. We'll use the old lube-dube. How does it feel? It feels lovely actually. It's nice and smooth. It's a little bit of wear there. Maybe it's just a cheap throttle. They do come. It don't move when you fucking hold it wide open. Sorry, I'm not filming it very well. And it snaps back lovely. So that's another job off the list. And then we're on to the rear wheel. We grab the wheel with two hands and give it a good shake to see if there's any play in the bearings. Now there is, I can't remember what the tolerance is in thou, but there is a very, very permissible, if you can just feel a slightest little something, you'll be all right. Yeah? If not, then you need to address the issue. The bearing's fucking not good. And at the same time, we go around the tyre once. Let's find the fucking valve. Where's the valve? Come on, you bastard. Oh, where is the fucking valve? The valve is hiding. I need it there. So we'll go from the valve round to the valve again, and we'll check the tyre for noughties. There's plenty of thread on there. Plenty of tread on there. So that's not an issue. It's been stood a while, you can tell, can't you? There's little bits of gravel stuck in there, but nothing major. There's nothing going on there that worries me. That tyre is happy fucking days. We will check the tyre pressure while we're at it, and we'll do the same with the front. Also with the front, we'll check any play in the headset bearings. We'll get the front wheel up out of this clamp and get the back end strapped down so this is off the ground. I'll do it after I've got it off the bench because it's easier. And then we'll give this a wiggle, give this a spin, check it all. Again, that tyre looks fucking great. They're really in good condition. Check the sidewalls, make sure they're not perishing out. 131, fucking hell. I've run these tyres, you won't want to do 131. Believe me, ditch finder generals. And check for the tightness of the spokes. Now, the old school method with the tightness of the spokes is get something like a screwdriver handle and just tap them. And you can hear a difference. I'm not doing it very well. I would normally rotate the wheel and work my way around, but I've only got one hand. You can grab them. You can do this, look, squeeze them together to see if any come loose. But on proper motorbike wheels, you tend not to feel any play if there is any play. The tapping it is usually the one. See how that's a clear? If it was loose, it'd be dull. It'd be like a duff. It'd be more like that. Yeah? So that's a proper old school method of checking if your spokes are tight. Just twang them all with something like a screwdriver or the handle of a screwdriver. But we'll go around and we'll give it a squeeze. Give it a squeeze and make sure that none of the spokes are loose. I'm yet to find a loose spoke on a motorbike wheel, to be honest with you. It's not something that happens, but it's worth a look. And we can look to see if we've got light corrosion, visual inspection. Same with the rim, light corrosion. It's just like a spit and polish, but there's nothing dangerous going on. There's nothing structurally unsound about the amount of corrosion, so that's a good one. Another minor point is this boot. Check this boot. Put a bit of grease in there. That I've got some fucking where have I put it? I put it down somewhere, but I will spray some white lithium grease in there just to get that all lubed up. See how it's starting to corrode a bit? It can not do itself any favours. And check that boot, that it's not going to get any shit in there. Because again, you don't want fucking shit going in there, and every time you press your brake pedal, it's fucking your piston up. It's getting in there and dirt ingress. So it is certainly getting there. And part of what I do when I do services is a pre-MOT. A lot of this is pre-MOT work. So I've kind of gave it an MOT. I will check that all the lights work, check the brake lights work, check the UTA works, check high-low works, and all of that shizzle, ready for the MOT. And as part of that pre-MOT service type, we check the bushes in the shockers, make sure they're not pouty and hanging out. They look good, really fucking good. Look like new actually. Although the shockers are a little bit rusty, the springs aren't overly corroded. Again, not structurally, and there's no sign of any weepage or leakage or corrosion on the plunger on this one, so that shocker's all good. We'll go the same the other side. Visual inspection of everything, make sure nothing's coming loose, make sure nothing's rotten or leaking, and it's all good. All the rubbers look really fucking good, and there's no signs of corrosion or weepage on the plunger on the rod like, so that's another little one ticked off. We also check all fixes and fastenings, like this axle nut has got a split pin in holding it tight. That's all good. There's nothing obviously undone. There's no gap there like where that's been backed off and not adjusted correctly. Same with everything throughout. Check everything, make sure it's not tight, not loose. The tank lift is not the best kit in the fucking world, but again, it's not on my brief, and it's not loose. It's not moving or doing anything. Got a little strap at the back there, is all right, that's not rotten. So that'll hold firm. There is an old mount through the frame there that's got a bolt in. You can't see it, it's pitch black under there for you like, but we get a torch in, give it a quick check. Look there, that used to be the engine, the tank mount, I'm guessing, for when it had a little peanut tank on. And that's been bolted through. It's still in the frame or welded up, so it's nice and strong. Same with the front end. We make sure everything's tight. I know they're tight because I've only just fitted it. That's got an eye lock on and there's no sign of it being loose, and I lift it up in the air and give it a wiggle. We've got a little bit of lube showing around there, around that bearing, which, given the condition of the vehicle, is just to be expected. You do get a bit of grease around a greasy thing. Same with the headstock, there's nothing hanging out, everything's cool. These are all good and tight. And all the way through, I do that all the way through, make sure there's nothing loose. One of the top tip, again, like the screwdriver thing, is you get the smallest of hammers, your servicing hammer, and you tap stuff. Dull, 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 dull. If it rings, it's loose. You can tell. Yeah, so you go around and you tap all your bits and bobs gently. I wouldn't do it on a show bike, obviously, but we're not on a show bike. So give everything a little tap, make sure everything's tight, make sure that there's nothing loose, make sure that nothing's making a ringing noise that suggests that it's not done up properly. And then we're through to the last few bits. Check all pivots, yeah, done all that. Remaining fasteners, lubricate any, yeah, done all that. Check, like I said, I'm going to warm it up when I've finished, get it out the workshop or down near the big door, get off the bench, like to do that. Same when I do the front wheel. This is going to be a bugbear. I'll do the front one, and the back one I'm going to have to undo the exhaust and move it off. It does want the exhaust wrapping, so I will re-wrap the exhaust at the same time, which you will see me do to some degree. They're a pain in the arse because it's fucking fiberglass based, basically, so it gets all over you. It's horrible. It said just before you go home job, that is, and wear fucking gloves. Wear some latex gloves, or 2 pairs. Righto, so after much fucking about, I managed to get the rear exhaust off without any serious issue. One of the studs is wound out, as per standard. We'll put a bit of Loctite on that when we refit it, and we'll spray a bit of lube on the nut, hopefully. The next plate that takes it out will have the nut come off and the studs stay in. But that has granted us the access that we require to the rear master cylinder, so we can have that top off, check the fluid levels because we can't see through the window, and the condition of it. Do the same with the front, and that does just leave the air filter. Now, I don't know where I fucking put it, the air filter, but what I will do is, it is not a replaceable item. Normally you'd replace it. Where the fuck have I put it? I'll find it. I've got it out somewhere. It is normally a throwaway item, but because we've got a custom fucking cover, we have got a custom oil filter. So I will spray it generously with brake cleaner and give it a good blowout. I wonder if I've left it on the shelf when I was getting the brake cleaner. Don't know. Could be anywhere on there, couldn't it? Fucking hell. And then we will give it a spray with the old oil, with K&N air filter oil. Let it dry off a bit, and that is Bob's your answer. So there's two little jobs that I won't bother filming. There it is, look. Look how fucking dirty it is. That's black. So we'll give it a clean. It's black and oily. We'll give it a clean out with a brake cleaner in the airline, and then we'll spray it with filter oil, refit it, and then it just leaves the brake fluids to do. And that is the service complete. Pre-MOT checks. I will check the lights and brakes, not the brakes, fucking brake light, Uta, and all that shizzle. So there you go, that's the service done. Fucking hell, look at the state of me. Look, that's a good morning that is spent giving that a really thorough once over. I've not done the tick over, but I'm sure it will be fine. It did say about cleaning the carb, so if I take it out for a test ride, we'll see how it goes. On to the next set of work on there. There's a few bits and bobs not service related, like repositioning the sissy bar, rewrapping the exhaust, and I'm going to fabricate and get covered a king and queen seat. So that's going to be very interesting. It just leaves me, as always, to say thanks for watching. New teeth. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Check out all the bump in the description below. There's links to merchandise and all sorts of groovy stuff in there. And I will see you on the next one. Big love, everyone, and I will see you soon.